The game you see in the background right now is called Headspace Night. It is a FNAF fan game. It's styled after Ultimate Custom Night, and it is inspired by OMORI. As you can see from the characters and environments, it is very heavily inspired and directly based on OMORI. One could think of it as a FNAF fan game and also an OMORI fan game at the same time. This game is the direct subject of this video, as I'm sure you could assume. However, I've never actually played OMORI. And because I've never played OMORI, I can't really talk about how the game takes inspiration from OMORI. So I apologize. I didn't really want to do research because I don't want spoilers, because I actually do want to play OMORI someday, but today is not that day. However, you know me, I love Five Nights at Freddy's. That's what my whole channel is based around, and so I can give you a good amount of information on how this game acts as a Five Nights at Freddy's game. Like I said earlier, Headspace Night is styled similarly to Ultimate Custom Night, in where it doesn't have nights 1 through 5 plus a secret 6 night. It's just a custom night. However, Headspace Night isn't completely the same as Ultimate Custom Night because you don't have every single character unlocked from the get-go. You have to complete challenges to unlock more and more characters until you have the full roster of characters at your disposal. And once you do have every character unlocked, you are ready to play this game's max mode. My Time. The Headspace Emissary. Sorry everyone, I know My Time is a lot harder and technically the real challenge of this game, but Headspace Emissary is still a good deal difficult and is the perfect skill level for me personally as I work my way up the ladder. My name is Joe Ride, and in this video, I take on one of the hardest challenges I've attempted thus far, the Headspace Emissary. When you begin a night in Headspace Emissary, you're sent to the office, like any other FNAF game. You have a door on either side of you, but instead of draining power when you close them, they just drain individually, like the camera from One Night at Flumpty's 2. And once a door breaks, it is broken for good. You can't even close it if you wanted to. Cameras take up absolutely no power whatsoever in this game, so feel free to check them as often as you'd like. If you right-click in the office, it summons a spray bottle, which can be used against a number of enemies. Enemies, you say? Headspace Night has a lot of enemies. And that's where the main difficulty of this game comes from. The mechanics on their own are pretty simple, but the combination of all these characters can make the night kind of tricky. Since there are so many of these characters, I'm gonna try to speedrun explaining all of these mechanics. OMORI will spawn in the left vast forest. When he does, close the left door on him. Headspace Kel will appear in either the right vast forest, orange oasis, or the junkyard. Click on him to make him go away. Headspace Aubrey will appear in the office. Spray her to make her go away. Headspace Hero will spawn in the Deep Well or Sweetheart's castle. Place the Mari cutout in whatever location he's at. Headspace Mari will have a picnic in your office. Find whatever fruit is on the cameras when she asks for it. Headspace Basil will occasionally spawn in the office. When he does, click on him. Sunny will occasionally spawn in the left vast forest or right vast forest. Close whichever door he's at. Aubrey will dash into your office. When she does, spray her. If Aubrey dashes into a door, then she will do damage to the door until you open it or until it is broken. Kel will spawn and move around in your office. Spray him. Hero will appear at your right door. When he does, close the door on him. Mari will fall down the stairs. Close whichever door she's falling down. Basil will appear and try to take a picture of you. When he does, move your mouse rapidly across the screen. Something will spawn in the cameras. find him and click him. Miwo has a bar that you must refill. When Captain Spaceboy's tape runs out, you must rewind it. Occasionally, Sweetheart will spawn in Sweetheart's castle. Look at her to make her go away. Mr. Jossum will spawn a ticket in your office. Click on it and then give it to him in the deep well. Pluto will perform a series of dance moves. You must imitate his dance to make him go away. 158. Not too bad. I started playing this mode during my spring break, which was towards the end of March. I picked it up as a side mode because the mode I was currently trying to focus on was way too hard and I wanted to get a video out in April, but I felt like it was unrealistic with the current mode I was attempting because I don't know why, I was just unable to beat it. Headspace Emissary was a few spots lower on the list, so I picked it up because it looked interesting. I turned out to have a lot of fun with the mode overall. I think it's a really fun mode, and I think that if you're looking for a mode to play that's not terribly difficult but still a good challenge, you should go with this one. Especially if you're just getting into max modes, this one can be maybe not an introduction, but one of the first ones you beat. Again, it's not terribly difficult, but it's also not that easy either. However, with how fun I claim it is to be, I honestly did not enjoy the latter half of this max mode. I said I started in March, and I didn't beat it until the end of April, which means I was attempting this mode for an entire month before I managed to beat it. It turned out to be harder than I expected. What started off as a side mode just to get a video out turned into the main mode I was focusing on, completely abandoning whatever I was playing before. So let's take a look at how I tackled this mode. What you're currently watching is around the 1 minute mark of the Headspace Emissary. For some reason, this seems to be my biggest wall in this mode and honestly, maybe any other max mode I've played. Now, Headspace Night doesn't have a true cycle system, but threats appear at pretty much the same time no matter if it's your first attempt or your 300th attempt. So, if Pluto appears, you can probably assume that Omori will be soon to follow, just because their timers tend to sync up. There is differentiation within where characters spawn, but they usually always spawn at the same time. And for some reason, whatever combination of characters that were spawning around the 1 minute mark were whooping my ass. I honestly don't think that it was that hard of a combo to deal with. I just think I was getting overwhelmed by how many characters were starting to spawn, and I'd lose track of everyone who I had to deal with, so I'd forget someone and they'd kill me. This happened a lot with Headspace Kel. I think because I would miss his sound cue due to being focused on everything else, so to deal with this I turned the music off so it would be easier for me to hear his sound cue, even when I wasn't directly paying attention to sounds. This similarly happened with Sweetheart and Captain Spaceboy, but they also have a visual cue as well, so it wasn't really the end of the world. On top of that, they also work hand in hand in their stalling mechanics. What is a stalling mechanic, you ask? Well, many characters can't spawn if another character is active. For example, if Sweetheart is currently waiting for you to watch her, Captain Spaceboy cannot spawn. However, his timer still counts down. So, if you wait a long time to deal with Sweetheart, there's a chance Captain Spaceboy will spawn immediately after Sweetheart is dealt with since his timer would have run out. Another example of this is Miwa and Pluto. If Pluto is currently in your room, Miwa will despawn and his bar won't drain until Pluto is gone. Pluto also stalls pretty much every other character like Headspace Kel or Sweetheart, so don't worry too much about checking cams if Pluto is mid-attack. Learning these stall mechanics resulted in some improvement. I was getting 2-3 minute runs, but those were a small percentage of the still mostly 1 minute runs. I was honestly ready to give up, but then I decided to re-evaluate the strategy I was using. Headspace Emissary is not cycle-based, it's reaction-based. A character appears, and you deal with them. And then another character appears, you deal with them, so on and so forth. I already explained all that. But there are some characters that don't make any sort of sound cue when they spawn. Omori, Hero, Headspace Hero, Sunny, you just have to check to see where they are. Hero spawns at your right door every 30 seconds, so instead of repeatedly checking the door, I could just close the door when it is around 30-second interval, so that has already made the night more consistent. But the rest of the characters I just mentioned are camera characters, so I came up with this strategy. At the start of the night, deal with threats as you normally would. Then, once Headspace Hero appears, figure out which camera he's in and place the cutout. Then alternate between checking cams and your office. When you're in your office, everything is pretty much right in front of you, so just do a quick scan. When you're in the cameras, alternate between checking the left vast forest, the right vast forest, and Sweetheart's Castle or Deep Well. Depending on where Headspace Hero currently is, switch between Sweetheart's Castle and Deep Well every time Headspace Hero switches. That way, you can see when Headspace Hero moves pretty much as soon as it happens. This also accounts for Omori and Sunny, as well as one of Headspace Kel's locations, so if he spawns there, you're in luck. It also shows Headspace Basil and Hero, so if those two are absent, you know where to find them. Although we already talked about an easier way to deal with Hero, and Headspace Basil is easy enough to spot in your office, so it's kind of pointless to check if he's in cams. Now, that's the basic strategy I used for the night. Obviously, you'll have to break it to deal with a character that isn't in one of the 4 cams I just mentioned, but all those characters have some sort of sound or visual cue that make it easy to know when to deal with them. And with this strategy, I managed to get a new best. 3 minutes and 41 seconds. And I didn't record it. You see, while I was attempting this mode, my computer was starting to run low on storage. So instead of doing the logical thing and plugging in an external hard drive, or better yet, clearing up storage, I just didn't record my attempt. I think in the back of my head, I knew if I beat the mode in that moment, I would just have to rebeat it again for proof. And I didn't want that feeling of having no proof that I actually complete this mode, so I just subconsciously threw. I can't really say for sure because there were so many things running through my head at that moment, but I think that's what happened. It was honestly crushing, but at least now I knew I was capable. I could do this. Streaming also helped me stay motivated. Normally I would play 2 or 3 runs every few days and then I would just give up, but I didn't want to have 8-minute long streams, so I actually put in time into playing this game. But it wasn't too long until I got stuck again. I think I'd been playing for so long, I started to get kinda sloppy, and it halted my progress. But after a few days, something seemingly snapped inside of me. I don't know what awoke in me, but something extraordinary happened. Oh my god! Oh my god! Oh my god! Okay. I just beat it. I just beat Headspace Emissary. New hardest. I just beat my new hardest. Wait. What? Don't get me wrong. This mode is hard. I mean, I'm sure you could tell by my reaction. That was no easy feat. But is this really the hardest mode I've ever beaten? Well, if you've kept track of my second channel, first of all, thank you, you're awesome. Second of all, you would know I've beaten 50-20 mode, which is harder than this mode by a lot. So then, why did I just say that it was my new hardest? Well, you see, the difference between 50-20 and Headspace Emissary is that in 50-20, most of the difficulty comes from the setup at the beginning of the night and RNG. In 50-20, you have to be fast enough at the beginning of the night to farm enough coins to buy a death coin before it's too late. And that's already pretty difficult on its own, but when you add that sequence of the night has a lot of RNG with Zor spawns and Toy Freddy and whatever, it really puts into perspective how hard 50-20 actually is. Now, let's take another look at the Headspace Emissary. Unlike 50-20, you actually have to deal with characters and fend them off for the entire night. You can't just camp in your office for the entire night. However, there isn't that big of an RNG element. Like I said earlier, a lot of stuff happens around the same time no matter which attempt you're on, so it can be a lot easier to predict than 50-20. So, which one do I think is actually harder? Well, Headspace Emissary does require you to be a lot faster and overall more perfect through the whole night. However, the beginning sequence of 50-20 requires you to be a lot faster arguably, and even though that's only one small portion of the night compared to Headspace Emissary, 50-20 has RNG throughout the night, especially with Foxy. There's just so much that can go wrong even if you're playing perfectly. So because of that, I'd say 50-20 is tougher. But don't get me wrong, Headspace Emissary is pretty tough too. I've said a lot in this video that it's a pretty good mode if you're first starting to get into max modes, and I do still believe that to be true, but I wouldn't make this the first or second or even third one you do. This isn't a good mode to learn max modes, but rather, once you have gotten in the swing of things, it's good to get you kickstarted in your max moding journey. Especially because this game has other max modes that you can come back to later on, which is exactly what I plan on doing. Obviously, I would love to come back and tackle my time, and I think that would make a really cool video seeing my progress from right now to whenever I beat that mode. But there's also another mode that isn't as popular because it's not technically an official max mode within the game, but rather a self-imposed challenge. It's known as the Silent Emissary, and I won't get into too much detail here because I do want to make a video on this, but it's the Headspace Emissary, except you have to let Hero buff any characters. But like I said, that's a video for another time. Thank you so much for watching this video. I appreciate all the time you take out of your day just to watch me play stupid FNAF games. If you enjoyed, consider liking and subscribe if you want to see more content like this, because this is pretty much all my channel is. I already have started working on my next video, so hopefully that will come out late June, maybe early July. But I'm really excited for that one. It's something I've wanted to do for the longest time, but I wasn't really sure how to turn it into a video, but I think I have a good idea for it now, so stay tuned for that. Also, I've started streaming. I really like streaming because it gives me the opportunity to play games that I normally wouldn't on this channel, because I don't have to stay with the strict FNAF challenge style videos. I can kind of do whatever when I'm streaming. Right now I'm currently playing through Danganronpa Trigger Happy Havoc, and that's really fun and I enjoy playing it live, so if you want to see more Joyride before the next video, consider stopping by. I stream every few days, so just pop in and say hi. I also, surprisingly, have a life outside of Five Nights at Freddy's. I have friends that I hang out with, and I started a channel with some of my friends, and we just kind of do stuff. It's not really anything in particular. We hang out, we play games, and we record it and post it on YouTube. It is called Kids Next Door, and it's a lot of fun. I would honestly really recommend it. I know I'm probably biased, but I think it's really funny, so consider watching a video, and if you like it, subscribe. My friends have the same sense of humor and same personality as me, so if you enjoy my content, chances are you will enjoy this content too. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you later.